Hey.
My name is Kimberly Wasson, and we are at Statesville High School with Mr. Hans Lassiter.
Hey.
Nice to meet you, Mr.
How are
Lassiter.
you doing? How y'all doing out there?
Met Mr. Lassiter on Monday. I personally was very impressed with some of the information that I had kind of seen filter about him. There was a newspaper article early on. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen that. He sent some accolades to a student that was very impressive to me, because I know that student is now a senior and I had never seen that. Clifford Bellamy is an amazing student athlete, dancer. So those things just kind of put him on my personal radar. So I am here with ICTV just to share some information about Mr. Lassiter with friends and family and the community as a whole about our principal here at Statesville High School.
That's wonderful. I like that, our principal. I like that.
Yeah, you are.
Because
this is part of our community now.
This is our community. It's our school. The things we do, it is a plurality. It's us. It's we. And that's one of the things that we want to impress upon you, is that this is our school. It's yours. It's mine. It's our students. And we together have a lot of work to do. And we'll talk about that, I guess, as we go on this journey together. Yeah, I like that. Will. Most definitely.
Okay, so first and foremost, tell me about Mr. Hans Lassiter.
Yes, I am a native of Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. Proud graduate of Dudley High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. And went on to A&T State University and played baseball there at A&T. Was given an opportunity to play and enjoyed my 4 seasons at A&T. Didn't work out as a professional baseball player, but the lessons that I received, the skills and the travel and experience enabled me to go into education as a teacher. And so I became a social studies teacher in Durham. I had the pleasure of coaching football and baseball. And as I went on the education journey, was bitten with the bug to become an administrator. And I entered NC Central initially and earned master's degree and teacher licensure, and then I went to NC State and earned the master's school administration. And then from there, I pursued a doctorate of education, which I'll complete very soon. But I have the Ed Specialist degree, which suggests I've completed all coursework leading to the doctorate. So all that's left now is dissertation defense, and it's Dr. Lassiter. To God be the glory. So God has definitely blessed me richly in this journey. But I think bigger than that, I'm a true advocate for children and a proponent of public education, because as our students will tell you, as much as I, quote, fuss, that's what they say, that's not my word, but as much as I fuss, they will tell you that I believe that education is truly the vehicle that can change lives. It can transform futures, it can change and shape lives and alter the course of history. And we are in a great position at Statesville to do just that.
Wow. Yeah. Very impressive. Very impressive background. Education is certainly important,
yes.
Which is, one of the things that I primarily noticed about you is that you seem to really have a heart for the children of the school.
Love them dearly. They sometimes, and since we were talking about our family here, because we are a big family at Statesville, our children are just that, children, and they make youthful decisions. Our job as high school educators is to help guide them through this process. The 4 years, they enter as 14-year-old freshmen, but they leave us as 18-year-old young men and young women. Yes, and so we're here at a very critical time in their lives where we help to facilitate maturity. They come in as uncertain, immature 14-year-olds, sometimes 13-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And they leave us 17, 18 years old, but they've grown and they're physically ready, but they're still kids, and sometimes those emotions don't really take root, but at least we've given them the skill set where they can begin to fly. And that's how we look at things. And as we go with this interview today, you'll get a chance to hear, if she asks the questions, you'll get a chance to hear a little bit about why we do what we do, especially as it relates to expectations and policy and procedure.
Okay, yeah. So with that being said, I think there's been a lot going around about why you are here. Mm-hmm. Why did your principal from last year leave? Why has Statesville had 4 principals in the last 4 or 5 years?
Certainly.
So what brought you here?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why my predecessor left, so I can't really answer that one. I don't know. I did not have the chance to really meet her. I know we've debriefed once or twice by email. We did talk on telephone once. I think the first day of school she reached out and we had a quick conversation on telephone. That was a wish us well. And then we had to, of course, terminate the conversation. But Statesville High School finds itself in a precarious position. Our school has been designated as low performing, given we've not met proficiency standards or achieved a grade higher than D in the last few consecutive years. When that happens, unfortunately, you receive a designation of low performing, meaning a percentage of your students are not performing at proficiency level, and you've not met your growth goals as designated by the state of North Carolina. With that, the state mandated Statesville High School embark upon a whole school reform effort designed to improve student achievement. In North Carolina, you're given 4 options. You can enter into transformation, which involves replacing half the staff and replacing the principal. You can go into turnaround, which is somewhat like transformation, but it also suggests that you have intensive support from the Department of Public Instruction. You can do restart, which combines elements of transformation and turnaround, but you operate with charter school-like flexibility with hiring and loosened fiscal responsibility. And then you can do the 4th option, which is close to school. And that's not what Iredell Statesville wanted to do. So a decision was made to apply for restart status, and it was granted by the state of North Carolina. And so we are in year 1 of restart.
And how long does the restart last?
Restart lasts as long as the school and the district agree it should last. Wow. So there is no set timetable of exiting. You exit restart when you are able to show that you've achieved some growth goals and that you are saying, okay, we're now ready to operate under the auspices of the State Board of Education as any other high school or school in North Carolina. So we are in year 1, and we have some ambitious reorganization plans for Statesville High School. The first thing that happens when you enter restart is that there is a needs assessment done, which talks about what the school does well, what the school does not do well, and how they can improve. You then enter into some intense planning, and it's a multifaceted approach where you communicate and collaborate with the community. You have intensive collaboration among the faculty, and you work with the student body to identify common objectives and goals and ways to meet them. So that's what we're doing right now. We're in the early stages of reaching out and making plans to go with the subsequent years. And we're excited about what we have planned, and I'll share that with you all if you guys ask.
Okay. Very next question.
Yeah,
Well, 2 questions.
Okay.
What is your biggest concern, or what do you see as the biggest hindrance for you right now as far as meeting those goals those lofty goals that you set forward for yourself?
It's very plain. At Statesville High School, and this is symptomatic and problematic across the country. It's just not Statesville, so I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying. There is a specter of unpreparedness that permeates and has infiltrated a lot of the nation's schools. Unfortunately, students are routinely passed along, socially promoted, matriculated, however you want to say it, who are simply not ready. They did not master the prerequisite skills at the middle school. They didn't master their skills leaving elementary school. And they didn't enter the public school setting as 5-year-olds with the basic skills required to be successful. In some cases, the 5-year-old who enters kindergarten came into kindergarten not knowing alphabets, colors, sight recognition, any basic skill that's required of a kindergartner. Well, they're chronologically then developmentally 5 years behind. And that's a gap that they can never close. So if that 5-year gap exists at kindergarten, if you do simple math, by the time they get to 9th grade, they're on a 4th grade level if you can presume that they're getting a year worth of achievement along the way. And that's devastating. And by the time they enter the 9th grade, we see it. I see it when I speak with students, when I read their handwritten samples of the poor grammar, the spelling, the subject-verb agreement. It is atrocious. But we can fix it, but it takes time. And it's not a Statesville High School problem. It is a 12K maybe even grade 12 birth issue, where we need to have partnership with you at home and here in the school to make this effort, this educational journey, worthwhile and productive.
Wow.
That's the biggest hindrance, is the lack of preparedness. Right behind it is social or behavioral maladjustment from some of our students.
Wow.
The behaviors are so egregiously poor and contrary to what we have to have in a school setting that the behavior has to be put in check so we can have school. In essence, you cannot have school unless your students are willing to, I guess, receive instruction and be in a mood or a behavioral position to receive an education. I mean, you sat here today and you've heard a few calls for administrative support. And that's because you have students who are contrary. They don't want to give up their cell phone. They don't want to take their earbuds out. But I ask you, community, and I want you to feel free to call me on this one. Why is there a need to have a cell phone in the classroom during the instructional day? Who are they going to call? Who can you possibly call as a 16-year-old at 10:30 in the morning during the instructional day? Your peers should be at school, your parents should be at work, and communication can occur in different ways. Why do you have earbuds on in the classroom when I'm teaching? The music that our kids are listening to, quite frankly, is not music. It's basically cussing set to sound. And that is permeating and infiltrating spirits and attitudes and approaches. And I mean, we see it. We see it with, in my opinion, this is my opinion, not reflective of Iredell Statesville Board of Education. So that's their disclaimer. But the hip hop culture is destroying our youth. By and large, the lyrics are misogynistic, they are racist, they are violent, they condone and promote a contrary standard of living. And when you have the typical high school student, regardless of ethnicity, who can verbatim recite the latest tune from Migos or from Future or from Uzi Vert, that's a problem, because that same student can't seem to pass English literature. That same student can't seem to pass Math 1 or 2. It's priority, my dear friends. So we had to figure out a way to reach these students, reach this generation, just like these artists have done. If I could get some of the hip-hop artists and athletes and entertainers to do some pro-education stuff, no telling what could happen.
That's right.
No telling. If I could get Migos or Future or Jeezy or whomever to rap about the positives of education and the positives of staying in school and the positives of wearing your clothes, the positives of self-respect, the positives of honoring women, man, that's no telling what could happen with our children.
Lofty goal. That's a great goal. That's a great idea. We have to send out some letters.
Somebody reach out to them. Hit their Facebook or Twitter account. Let them know.
I know, right? It's a great idea.
I think so, too.
Okay, next thing. What do you need from the community?
Yeah.
The parents, the teachers,
absolutely,
the community as a whole. What do you feel that you need as the new principal of Statesville High School to make Statesville High School a great school like it used to be in our community?
The same intensity and fervor that you give to our football, basketball, homecoming, the same fervor and intensity of things like that, homecoming court, prom queen, the same kind of intensity and fervor that I see on Friday nights when the football team does well or does not do well, the same kind of intensity and effort is given when the basketball team, the soccer team does or does not do well. I like to see with academics. I like to see a day where PTSA, we don't have a PTSA here. And at our community forum that we had, that we'll talk about in a minute, at our community forum, we wanted to have a rejuvenation of PTSA. That's a goal. I need parents to come in and join hand in hand with us. I like volunteers to come in and walk the halls with us. Make sure our students are on the halls with proper hall passes and authorization. Help them to get to class on time. I'd like for our community to hold and join forces with us to help our students meet expectations. There is absolutely nothing wrong with expecting our students to meet expectations. A very wise man and I worked with some students here recently, and we asked, what is wrong? What harm, what danger, what hurt is there in pulling your pants up? The young man couldn't answer. What hurt, what harm, what danger is it in taking off your earbuds so you can hear and receive instructions? Young man couldn't answer. What harm is it, young lady, in wearing something decent and orderly and not so tight and revealing? What harm is Mr. Lassiter doing by insisting that you cover yourself or to have a shirt that covers your navel or belly button? She couldn't answer. We'd like to have that reinforcement occur from our community or from the homes. But here's what we get, dear viewers. A lot of times we get kickback. Well, what's wrong with my child having his phone in class? He might need to call me. What's wrong with my son being able to listen to hip-hop? Clapping school is boring. So sometimes he needs to listen to his music just to break the monotony and kick the dust off.
Those are actual words.
These are, I'm not being hypothetical. This is actual conversation that we have sometimes as educators. But the biggest and most frustrating piece is this. Right now, and yeah, I'm giving a spoiler alert. Here at Statesville High School and high schools across the country, we are charged with making this process rigorous and relevant, making our students 21st century ready, which means it's our job to help them to acquire the skills they need to be successful as employees or maybe employers on their own business. The biggest issue we see is punctuality or the lack thereof. The lack of punctuality. It is startling and alarming. So we have lockouts here. From time to time, we do hall sweeps to encourage our students to get to class on time. Now, each student has 5.5 minutes to get from point A to point B. Now, 94% of our students get there on time. Mm-hmm. They do well.
That's great.
But then there's 6% who just can't seem to get to class on time. Well, we charge and challenge our students. Associate this with real world situations. If you are chronically and habitually late to work, what happens to you?
You don't have a job. You get disciplined or you get fired.
Progressive discipline says the HR calls you in. They tell you that there's a problem. You're chronically late to work. Is there an issue that we can help you with? They coach you through it. The first 2 times they'll work with you. But that third late arrival to work, there's something in writing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. In a CC2 personnel file. That letter says if this continues, you are subject to continued discipline, possibly up to
termination.
Now, if we know that's real world business, then we must associate that here at Statesville High School. So once a student has established a pattern of chronic and habitual tardy arrival to school or class, it's progressive. We provide support, coaching, call parents, we do a little detention, lunch detention, then we do in-school suspension. Then with that levy, like, listen, if this continues, this is what's going to happen. And if the problem persists, we have to associate that with loss, which is suspension. That's preparing our student for the real world. If we ignore this problem, they will have no issue being habitually late to work or paying bills or meeting obligations. And we fail them. That's why we do what we do in that regard.
Some of that kind of sounds a little harsh.
I got you.
So, do you feel like the students feel like you're being really hard on them? Or how are the students and the staff relating to your, what seems to me to be an apparent new style of being a principal here? Because a couple of years ago, my daughter was here, and I think the principal last year was amazing. Loved her. Prior to that, I won't speak on those things, but I personally, as a parent, was not satisfied and mentioned those things multiple times to some of the administration as far as, teachers and the way things were happening and bullying situations and the way those situations were being handled by the staff, by the coaches. Personally here, a tremendous amount of leadership role seems to have been given to the coaches here. Not necessarily as far as their educational expectations, but as far as their abilities on the field or the court, or even as far as cheerleading or playing soccer. Those things are seeming to take precedence over their real life situations in the classroom and ultimately their lives.
Wow.
So, with those things being said, I do see having just met you a couple of days ago, but having spoken to you on the phone, and actually at a parent's urging, because she saw in you something that was different, and having talked to multiple parents out in the community that are definitely seeing that you're different. So with those things being said, and those were positive things,
right.
Those things being said, your harsh stance on education, excellence, attendance, punctuality, do you feel like at the present rate that you are really going to be able to be successful here at Statesville High School?
Great question. And I would be untruthful if I told you that it's not frustrating with the resistance. But here is the deal. Here is what's really truthful. The harsh stance that I get accused of taking, and it's so funny because I can show you emails I get from students to talk about your rules. You're tripping. Your rules are too harsh, or you're being too strict. Your rules make us feel like we're in prison. These are not my rules. Ladies and gentlemen, the things that we're doing at Statesville High School are over there in that policy manual that's written by the Board of Education. The policy manual that all schools must follow is a governing principle that's given to us by the State Board of Education. The North Carolina School Board Association has adopted a policy manual. It is given to the 115 school systems, and the school systems can adjust and tailor it to the specific needs of that district. But the expectations that are here at Statesville are board policy. So there's board policy that addresses punctuality. It's board policy that addresses student dress and appearance. Board policy addresses food in the classroom, cell phones, earbuds. These things are addressed in policies that are rooted in state law, adopted by the Iredell Statesville Board of Education, and we are all expected as principals in schools to meet or exceed those expectations. As a result of maybe some benign neglect and the desire to have peace in the school, if you will, some of the policies were loosened or even ignored. As a result of said benign neglect, things spiral out of control, and you had a degree of flippancy and really, in a literal sense, students doing what they wanted to do. And as a result, disorder reigns supreme. And I'm sorry, I serve a God of order. I serve a God of excellence. He is not an author of confusion or disorder. I was challenged to come here under the auspices of Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 33. And it's about going to the land that God sends you, hearkening the voice of his angel, who he has as representative, listening to that angel and doing what he asks you to do. If you do that, he will give you food, he will give you water, freedom from disease, and prosperity. That's the word of God. And that's how I got here.
Wow.
And because of that and the excellence that I have to exude, we're going to follow that policy manual to the letter. And anytime, and it's you can do it as a viewer, if you ever want to have a conversation with us about something that we do at Statesville, about expectation or policy, we will talk directly from that policy manual and from North Carolina state law and public education. That's how decisions are made here. Not arbitrarily from me, not solely by me, or not how I feel that day. We stand on policy, and on that policy, if we stand, we will be successful. It may take time. And as the bishop said to me a long time ago, it might not look like it right now, but in the end, we will win.
You do have a humongous book, and I'm going to go pick it up, so just bear with me here for a minute. This, and I have personally seen him refer to this while I was in his classroom. I can say from what I saw that he does have an open door policy for the community. I stopped by a couple of days ago just to introduce myself about some situations that we had. He opened his door to me and was very sincere in his conversation about being direct and talking to these children and trying to help them understand, along with the staff, that this is our governing body. This is not me. This is not something that I think. This is not something that I feel. This is something that I have read that was provided to me by the state of North Carolina and that was adopted by the Iredell Statesville school system. So with those things being said, I think this is a little bit of a culture shock for the teachers, the staff, the children, certainly the coaches, and the community. You are a little different. Yeah. Well, in a good way, I think.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, we're going to go back. There was a community forum that you guys attempted to host in an effort to, you can kind of fill me in on this. Yeah. Tell me what your goal was behind sponsoring the community forum.
This is a perfect, we talked about earlier, the restart that our school is going through. And we're not the only school in our district that's undertaking restart. Troutman, NB Mills, Statesville Middle are also restart schools. And this is the school restart guide. It's a federal guiding document that talks a little bit about what should happen as your school goes through the restart process. And part of this and our pillars of success, the 10 standards on which our school stands, is a large community involvement component. So in our pillars of success and in the restart program, a large part of galvanizing support is through community outreach. So we have 3 community forums planned for you to come out and learn about Statesville High. The first one we had was last Wednesday, October 18th at Mount Pleasant AME Church on South Center Street right here in the beautiful city of Statesville. And it was about 2 hours long, including questions and answers. About 88 people come. We had advertised for a month. We did countless Connect Ed calls. We put it on our Facebook page. We had leaflets and flyers. So I was disappointed in the folk, but I was blessed that the 88 who came were participating enthusiastically, if you will. We presented student achievement data. We presented disciplinary data. We presented information on restart. We presented information on where we stood with our assessing practices. We just finished our midterm exams. Midterm exams are new to our school, I understand. We hadn't been doing that, I don't think.
I was a little shocked to hear about exams the other day. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't start until January, so what are they doing?
No. We believe in the frequent monitoring of student performance, not just arbitrary testing, but we do meaningful assessment here, meaning early in the 9 weeks of semester, we do baseline assessing, meaning we look for schema or prior knowledge. What does the student know about the subject matter he or she is learning for this particular semester? Once we get the baseline data, meaning what do they know coming in, we start there as a starting point. And then we will periodically assess at unit intervals or at 3-week intervals. The midterm or 9-week interval is a midpoint assessment to measure growth and mastery over the content that they be introduced the first 45 days. Those midterms are aligned with the curriculum, and it gives us a fair indicator of full mastery, meaning the student's doing well, partial mastery, meaning the student has a grasp but needs some improvement, or non-mastery, meaning we need to go back and embed tutorials or provide extra help so the student can get it. Then when we come to final exams, the student has a leg up, because they've been along the way doing that which is required and expected in the curriculum.
Wow,
and it won't be a secret. I mean, when we get to exams in January, the students should have some optimism that, hey, I baselined well, I benchmarked well, I midtermed well, and now here I am at finals. I'm ready to do this. And you should see then incremental growth in our school is immediately almost at the end of year 1, because our students have along the way demonstrated they know exactly what they're doing in the classrooms. But it's all contingent upon what's happening in those classrooms, which is another component of our pillars of success. Ladies and gentlemen, it's up to me, and this is one of the rare times you hear me take singular ownership or something in terms of me. It is my responsibility to make sure your children are given quality instruction by their teacher. And right now, I need your help. We have some vacancies, some instructional vacancies in hard to fill areas, mathematics, English, social studies, and we're advertising. We have made a recommendation in math. and that gentleman will start tomorrow on Friday, October 27th. And we have a social studies vacancy. We have interviews coming up soon, and we will have an English vacancy. So we're looking to fill that. It is my job, ladies and gentlemen, me. So come talk to me about making sure that the persons giving your student educational services are above reproach and they are excellent. Anything short of that, I accept responsibility.
Okay, so with that being said, if I'm a parent here at this school, and I just want to come shake hands with you.
Absolutely.
Is that something I can do?
Yes. It's funny because you heard me say about decent and order and having structure. It's funny. If you get a business card from me, if you look at it, it has cell phone. That cell phone is my personal cell. So if you ever need me and you get this phone right here, that's my personal cell. So I've agreed to let the district have my personal cell as my cell contact. So you get me 24 hours a day. My email goes to my cell phone. I'll respond to your email. There are instances, if you want to sit down and have an extended conversation, I have an associate, a front desk associate, who will schedule an appointment. And you can come see me and we can sit at a block of time. If you see me out in the street, I'm always going to have on something Statesville or this badge to identify myself. If you see me out in the community, I will not turn the other way and run. I will talk to you. I just believe in being accessible and being an ambassador for our school. So yeah, if you want to come say hello and speak, I'm your guy. Even if you're angry, even if you're not pleased with something, let's talk. And now I have those who tell you sometimes if you come at me, as the children say, sideways, there will be times where I say, listen, I don't think this is a good time for us to talk. Tell you what, let's go through the appointment process or shoot me an email and let's talk that way. But even in that regard, I'm not going to turn and run.
Right.
I'm going to talk to you. So, come to me. Let's talk. A lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, folk think, it's okay to go above my head. Okay, I feel you. If that's what you want to do, that's great. But do know that if you go to whomever, let's say the assistant superintendent, the director of secondary education, the superintendent, or even a board member, the first question they'll ask is, have you discussed this issue with the principal? And I'm speaking for all of us as principals. And if you can't say that you talked to the principal about the issue, they will refer you to us. Allow us to help you through the issue. None of us are going to run or give you false information so that we don't have to deal with the issue. We want the absolute best for our students. You're a student. And we want this district to be a world-class district. We don't want to be the tail. We want to be the head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And this is no slight against the other districts in our state, but our county is interesting. We have two school systems in our county. And although I'm new to Iredell County, there are comparisons, ladies and gentlemen, between the way that one district does business and the way the other does business. And I can't speak for the other because I don't work for them. But what I do know is that there is a conscious effort to make this district the absolute best in our state. And if we continue to collaborate and partner with you and our students can meet expectations, no telling what we can do.
I appreciate hearing that. And you spoke on the two different school systems in the county. You actually have two different schools on this campus.
Yes.
And then there's a contrast. So I think oftentimes people don't understand, why are these children learning, but these children aren't learning. So when you have one of the best schools in the state on this campus, and then, hard to hear, but Statesville right now is one of the worst schools in the state.
That's painful.
That is painful. And I don't know if you as parents know or understand that. Not in this county, but one of the worst schools in the state. Which is why the Restart program had to begin. Which is why if your children are coming home and telling you, they don't understand this, they don't know this, the teachers won't stay, that they're having issues and concerns about the things that are happening in their classrooms, because that was something that I heard from my child. Nobody listens. Nobody cares. The teachers are mean. They don't really care. This is probably going to sound horrible, but I'm going to say it. When I told my daughter, I had met the principal here a couple of days ago and went home, and I hadn't even shared this with you, but went home, and I don't even know who the guidance counselor was. But I mentioned, Miss Rucker. She said, oh, yeah, I like Miss Rucker. And she said, well, she wasn't my guidance counselor, but when I talked to my guidance counselor was mean and rude to me, so I wouldn't go back and talk to her anymore. So that is something that is or was common practice. And I think that I can already see that he is holding his teachers accountable. Just in the time that we've been here in this room, he's holding his teachers and staff and the coaches accountable for the things that happen on this campus, because ultimately they do have to go back and answer to him. So this is a hard job that he's taken on in our community. And guys, I just want you to know that I do feel like this is different. So as far as the alumni, not just on homecoming, but as far as giving back, volunteering, joining the PTA, whether you're a parent here right now or you just want to come and just volunteer at the school. One of the things that I'm going to propose to him today before I leave, or have another conversation with him at a different time, there used to be a time when Statesville had a lot of clubs, but it takes people to manage those clubs. So if you are interested in photography, if you are interested in business leadership, if you are just interested in coming and volunteering with youth in any type of capacity, please reach out to the school, because right now this school is hurting, and these are the children that are in our community, and these are the children that will work in our community, and these are the children that will later become parents in this community. So we as a community have to come together and work together to kind of take on this problem and not be so quick to say, well, it's not my problem. Yeah, that's what they learned at the school. These children are a part of our community. And yes, we're calling them children, even though some of them are 18, 17, 16 years old, they're still children. Correct. And they're still moldable. But oftentimes it takes those mentoring programs and those things to help, because, these teachers here and this administration here has a really hard job. They've got, how many students do you have here?
We have 983.
Okay, they have 983 students.
Here, and then 265 at Crossroads.
And 265 at Crossroads, or what used to be VPAC. So with those things being said, that's 1,000 kids that cross their paths every day. They can't interact with these children every single day, every single child. So if you feel like you have a gift, and I do believe that God gives us gifts. I do believe that God gives us a voice. And I do certainly believe that he places people in our lives and in situations that give us the opportunity to share and show some ownership in those things. He gives us the ability to be able to come and be a part of something. I think this is different. Like, the tide is starting to turn. As far as what I can see from the staff and the students that I spoke with, they're excited. So, if your children are coming home and they're telling you, that there's some bad stuff going on, then you need to ask, are you part of that problem? Mm-hmm. Because if they're not happy here, it's probably because this book is being adhered to. Yeah. And I think that we need to hold our children to a higher standard of excellence. We don't need to allow our children to just be okay. Well, that's how they've always been. Well, that is not okay.
Yeah.
If they can't read and are in high school about to graduate and go off into the world, they need assistance. And it's not against you as a parent if the children have problems or they need interventions. Guys, there are programs and there are people that care enough to get that help for you and your child. So don't take it as a negative. Take it as this is the time to fix this, before this 16-year-old is a 25-year-old still living at your home because they can't read and write and can't go get a job.
That's correct.
Or because they have disciplinary issues where they don't listen to you, they don't listen to the principal, they don't listen to the teachers. And all that being said, do you think they're going to be able to have a job? So with all that being said, I just want to thank Mr. Lassiter for the opportunity.
Thank you.
To come out. Our video is being shot today by Sean Eccles with ICTV.
Thank you,
So
Sean.
This video, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. I like his balance. He hasn't moved his hand.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. Wait till you see this.
Okay.
We will probably be about a week before this will be finished and edited, and we'll start sharing. But just keep in mind, come. His doors are open.
Please.
He's ready to meet the community and learn and explore ideas and concepts with you.
And, what's interesting is that We have a home football game tomorrow, so this won't be aired. More than likely, by the time this airs, we'll be in the first round of the state football playoffs. And so the first round game, I think, is going to be November the 10th, I want to say. So November 10th, this should have aired, I believe. So that first round home game, speak to me. I'll either sell tickets that evening, or I'll be at the gate as you come into the bridge. I'll shake your hand. And let's talk. Let's talk business. Let's talk about ways that we can join together to improve our school. Our teachers are dying to hear from you. Our kids need to see you in our building. They need to see that there's community support and there's expectation that you pull up your pants, take off those headphones, put that phone away, pull your pants up, young man. Put a jacket on, young lady. Put some clothes. Have some pride in who you are. Some respect for self. Would you wear that in front of the bishop? Would you wear that to the job? Those kind of things we talk about with our students so that we can have school. All these things, ladies and gentlemen, all of these things, regardless of who you are, your ethnicity, your gender, your learning style or ability, are key concepts that need to be mastered before we co-sign with that diploma in your hand. We want you to exit with a diploma in your hand, voter registration card in your hand, and a clear ticket to success in the other, meaning knowledge of what's next, be it school, be it the world of work, the service, whatever you choose to do. It's our job to make that dream come true.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Lassiter.
Thank you.
I can tell that you're going to do great things
Thank
here
you.
at Statesville High School,
Thank
and
you.
we're excited to see where you guys are going from here.
Yeah.
The positivity is amazing coming through the door. I can already see that. I can already see that, more concern is going to be given to the children that are striving for excellence.
Yes, that's true.
When you handle the disciplinary issues and get those things out of the way, then this is going to, again, be one of the best schools in the state, because you're going to have excellence. You're going to have children that are being rewarded. You're going to have scholarships. You're going to have people understanding that the tide is changing and I can excel here. I can excel here. I don't have to go to a private school. I don't have to go to VPAC. I don't have to go to the technical school. That Statesville High School wants to be the best school in the county.
We do.
Again.
We do.
So, again, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
And
And
you
thank
have
you.
an amazing day.
Thank you too, and I thank you for watching.